Good afternoon, Sagittarius. I hope you're well. I've pulled some cards for you today. It's Friday, the 7th of November, 2025. I like to pull the cards before I start recording. Sometimes the shuffling can be a little bit slow. I like to trust what's going to kind of flip by itself. So sorry I haven't recorded the pulling, but I'd have a really nice reading for you here. Your first card, Sagittarius. I hope you're well, by the way, and you're looking forward to your birthday season, which is coming thick and fast, isn't it? Your first card, Sagittarius, you see that all right? Is the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords. Yeah. So this takes us into the embodiment of the feminine aspect of air. So the Queen of Swords, I mean, clear-minded doesn't quite cut it. She has got a very sharp mind, whether you're a male or female. The feminine element of air is like no mincing words, very clear. Emotions don't get in the way of clear thinking, rational thought. To reach the level of Queen of Wands is extreme mastery of self and mastery of mind, especially for women, because it's about ruling everything about yourself and your reactions, your choices, your decisions. So they're actually based on a rational, clear mind instead of whatever your hormones might be taking you on a journey with that day, whatever your emotions, feelings, whatever anyone around you. It's quite a lofty position of the mind where the emotions and the kind of where we would reside in the lower chakras, acting from those places, we're actually acting from the very height of our thinking process. And this is where pure logic is. In the traditional card of the Queen of Wands, it's a lady sitting in a very kind of barren, deserted place. There's no life there, no emotions, and she's actually pouring a jug of water out. So there's always a little bit of a warning attached to the Queen of Swords, which is that you do still have feelings. You are still a physical being with everything that comes with that. And even though you have reached that level in your mind of elevated thinking and clear, concise, even cold, rational thought, there's a lesson in there to also not lose your warmth, not lose that part of you that people want to come up and give you a hug and they love you. You've still got the feeling side of you, but it may be that life has asked you, because of the circumstances and what is required of you, you've needed to be at this level in order to get through whatever situation you've got through, okay, or you're getting through. This is your very first card, current situation and who you're showing up as. So even though you're a fire sign, Sagittarius, you're being required at the moment to put a lot of your energy into where you're coming from in the mind and what kind of your next move is going to be based on how you've been able to calculate the situation, what you've been able to discern by using your rationality. But it's not necessarily all of you for the rest of your life, okay? That's the kind of warning level with the Queen of Swords, is that you do need her, you need to embody her to get through whatever this is, but just be aware that where you've got to in that place of your mind, it's not where your heart is. And we still want you to have your heart intact and active and open. And obviously being a fire sign, Sagittarius, we still want you to live according to your nature. But yeah, Queen of Swords is necessary at the moment. If you're thinking this is showing up as somebody in your life, sometimes the people who come act as like a catalyst or a trigger for this inside of you to start to develop. So it may be there's someone around you who's showing like a really high level of intellect, a real sharpness to what they're aware of and what they're noticing, and that literally nothing is getting past this person, and you cannot lie to this person. You cannot pull the wool over their eyes. They will see through your masks. They will pick up on like micro behaviors and all those little things that give actors away. So yeah, she can act as like a trigger or catalyst, or she can also, it can represent someone in your life who is reinforcing these aspects that are developing within you, kind of to mirror and show you that, yes, you're on the right path. You know, it is okay to embody these qualities because look at how I do it. So however that resonates for you, Sagittarius, there is a need for clear thinking, basically, very much so. Clear thinking in a place inside of you where your feelings aren't involved, maybe your initial reactions to a situation, which weren't from this part of your mind. If you notice the actual colours of the image, it is very airy, it's very... there's no colour in a sense, yeah? If you think of terms of passion, love, earthiness, it really is a higher place of your mind that you're able to access and embody when necessary. That's being challenged at the moment. Your second card, which can cause blockages and obstacles to the first one, is the Nine of Swords. Excuse me. The Nine of Swords speaks of a very difficult time in our lives. It can often be called the card of nightmare, or the card also of self-fulfilling prophecy, in that there's a very difficult situation that we may not have wanted to face, and the simple process of us not wanting to face it has made it worse, and it's become a headache, a stress. It's causing anxiety. It's causing sleepless nights. It's a quite a lonely position to be in. If you see the poor penguin is on his own, he's really dejected. Yeah, the stuffing's been knocked out of him. There's all these swords on their way. It's not quite the 10, which means this situation isn't quite over. And the blockage rather that it's causing to your queen is that maybe the kind of feelings associated with the situation that are causing stress, anxiety, nightmare are stopping you from embodying just another level up in your thinking, a higher perspective of your thinking, maybe a philosophical... I'm really feeling a stoic energy here. I do vibe with bits of stoicism. I really enjoy the teachings of Marcus Aurelius. There's lots of videos on YouTube with his meditations. Very, very wise. He was able to embody the higher thought while still having an active heart. He was an extremely intelligent and compassionate leader. So Nine of Swords is what's happening in our lives, yeah? The sword speaks of situations in our lives. The Queen is an embodiment of characteristics. The situation is blocking your embodiment of the characteristics, which would help you to deal with this situation. So just on your first two cards, Sagittarius, I feel like there's a bit of advice here which is connected to reaching the level of Queen of Swords, but without switching off any of your emotions, your passions, your water bits and your fire bits. Obviously, your fire bits are going to be taking precedence because of who you are by nature, Sagittarius. But your outward situation of the Nine of Swords is causing difficulty and is maybe preventing you within your own energy system of being able to kind of step out of this for a moment and go a bit higher in your mind. Obviously, you know yourself, Sagittarius, you know what's going to work for you. But I feel like your embodiment of the Queen of Swords is going to help with this situation not blocking your energy anymore. It's like there's a block somewhere, yeah? And it could be this embodiment of the Queen. We're going to go a bit further because you've got quite a pattern in your cards. Okay, crowning you, we have another 9, the 9 of Wands. Traditionally the card of the wounded warrior. You've been through a hell of a lot, Sagittarius. So you've got a 9, not just in where you are with your mind, but where you are with your fire as well, your passion, your sacral chakra. How are you doing down there? Have you got any blockages? Do you need a bit of orange in your life to soothe that area? You're carrying a lot of burdens. And for me, I've used Mythic Tarot since the beginning of my journey with tarot. And the image on that of the 9 of Wands is of Jason, like coming back from his voyage, and he can kind of see the island off in the distance. But there's a storm, his boat is falling to bits, all his people are flagging. He's got like an ounce of energy between the whole lot of them to get to shore and stop and rest. And it's a bit of a... I'm not trying to lessen what you're going through in any way, Sagittarius, but there's a lesson in the 9 of Wands of kind of mind over matter, or the power of your will. So sometimes we're struggling so much with our burdens and we can't see the end. And we feel like we don't have what it takes to get to the end. We can feel like giving up, and we can get all this kind of doubting words starting to swirl around in the brain about giving up and, oh, I shouldn't have bothered with this, and oh God, I can't do any more. And whatever it is, life does really take it out of us sometimes. And you do have to acknowledge, like, oh my God, I am struggling a bit right now with this. But the 9 of Wands is also about understanding that this final step really, really is your final step. And knowing that it's your final step actually brings this energy out of somewhere. You know, you see it with like long distance runners and stuff. They're flagging the last couple of miles, like they look like they're going to drop. And then as soon as that finish line kind of comes into sight, or they hear it on their thing, you know, you've got 100 meters left or something like that. This burst of energy comes from somewhere which sees them through to the 10 of Wands, which is where you unburden yourself and you close that chapter of what it was that you were trying to achieve. Now, the 9 of Wands presents another challenge in that, because it's our journey of wands, it's our journey of passion, of manifesting our dreams, it goes through such a cycle of like starting off with what feels like infinite creative potential, excitement, energy, imaginations, magnetizing other people towards what it is you're doing. And that is just, it's hard to put words on what that feels like and how life affirming being in that position is. And then you go through the journey of, you know, pushing it forwards, meeting an obstacle, pushing it forwards. I do think with wands, there's a bit of synchronicity with odd numbers and even numbers, where the odds seem to indicate like flow and forwards movement. And then the odd numbers present like the next barrier. Yeah, you level up. There's a leveled up challenge in that level. So the 9 is about having gone through that cycle of, wow, you know, this began as just such an exciting journey. you know, it could be like a business. Let's say everything's amazing. You're having like an opening party of your business. Everyone's there supporting you and everything's amazing. And fast forward 10 years and you might have, say, staffing issues. The rates of the business in your area have all shot up. There's new regulations that maybe you're having to adapt your style of business. Whatever it is, the process of bringing what begins as a dream into manifest reality, it has its own natural kind of progression. And as it becomes more and more integrated into the 3D reality, the burdens also come along. So this is how you get like someone absolutely on fire, like full on blazing with passion and creativity at the beginning of a process. And then at the end, they're absolutely worn out and they're drowning in bills, debt, and it's so hard, but it's also natural. So a lot of us get to these end stages where we're really worn out. We've run out of creative energy, and we're using all of our kind of physical day-to-day energy to keep this thing going, when actually life allows us and kind of encourages us to actually put that to bed. You did it, yeah? You did it. You went so far. I'm not telling you to put it to bed on the 9. I'm talking about the whole process. So by the time we get to the 10, we kind of don't want to give up because it was our dream. But it's had so many years of being based in reality now and becoming kind of something else. It's become like its own entity. And it's actually okay to say, right, I've done that and I've achieved so much, and it's been a great process of me learning, like from A to B, what all the stages are, and I can now move on to a new dream. And some people forget that. They get so caught up in having like a dream and how that manifests. But the reassurance of what the Wands is trying to explain to us is that we are allowed, having gone through that whole process and worn ourselves out, we are allowed a new dream, okay? So the encouragement that is within the 9 is that, look, you're at stage 9. You're at level 9 of doing this. You've come so far. And yes, you are worn out. You do have burdens, but there is another step. There's one more step for you to be able to end this and you to be able to put your burdens down. And obviously, if you want to carry on with this in fruition in the 3D, that is totally up to you. But as far as the energetic cycle goes, you're so close to the end. So I realize the burdens are heavy, Sagittarius, but I want you to get a little bit of encouragement from that you're kind of mustering up all of your reserves now for this final stage where you're going to be able to breathe, you're going to be able to relax, okay? I hope that made sense. At the root of all of this, so interesting, you've actually got another 9. So your row of where you are in reality at the moment, from where you are centrally, what's crowning you above, and what's at the very root of all of this, you've got 3 9s. So if any of those numbers, if you resonate like with number synchronicities, do have a look at 999. I don't believe it represents an emergency today, Sagittarius. I'm sure it's all good. So we've got the 9 of Pentacles as your root card. So again, we're at this stage of almost closing a cycle, almost being able to kind of put the tools down in this sense. Pentacles is about going so far in your material life where you're very self-satisfied, you're very proud of yourself. And I don't mean that in an egotistical sense of, oh, I'm amazing. It's more of a self-worth sense that is just inside of you, because you know that you have integrity, and you know that you've worked hard, and you know that everything that you're looking at around you is what you've made. So it's about not needing any recognition or validation or applause. None of that. And certainly if you're receiving any criticism for anything, you know, again, you can just say, right, you know, people have got things to say, fair enough. But actually, when I look around me, what I'm seeing is the result of the hard work that I've put into my life. And it's that kind of self-satisfaction, self-worth, self-esteem from having done something honestly and having done something to the best of your ability and not needing anybody to back that up, because you know it. And it's more than just thinking like, oh, I've done a good day's work or I did my best. It's more than just thinking. It's a really deep knowing within yourself that what you've put into the world and what you're seeing around you as a result of that has been like from your genuine efforts. And nobody can take that away from you. So people can say anything. They can say you could have done better. They can say, oh, you know, that person there's got a bigger house. Yeah, you know, what matters to you is what matters to you. And what you've put your time and effort in, despite the absolute nightmare headfuck running around in circles in your mind, and despite the weariness and maybe trying to muster, like I said, and gather up all your remaining reserves of creative energy, passion, your fire, despite all of that, you can still sit back and know that you've done your absolute level best. And nobody can take that away from you. The colours in here are a lot more kind of vibrant and life-affirming. And that is really is a card of standing proud on your own 2 feet. And that level of knowing that you're good, yeah? Knowing that you're all right. And it's not really thanks to anybody else. You're kind of self-made in that sense. Although you might work for somebody else, that's not what I'm saying. Your pride in your life and your career and what you've done with yourself, your productivity, that is self-made. You are proud of yourself in a very real, genuine and authentic way because of how you've lived your life in an authentic way. So although stuff here might be a bit tricky, I'm hoping you're feeling a bit lower down and a bit kind of on your foundational, fundamental level. You're in the right place, Sagittarius. Okay, you're good. You are good. Right. What's coming in? What's on its way out for you in your past influences? You got the Chariot. Very nice. First major arcana for the reading. I often find the past and future influence cards are generally major arcana. It gives us a bit of a 3D cycle of kind of where you are on a bit of a deeper level for me. So the card of the Chariot, I'm feeling it's linked to your Queen of Swords. The Chariot is about, I mean, on here you can see it's like the king of the sea, and he's got 2 dolphins there powering his seashell jet ski about. In the traditional deck, it's usually 2 horses, a black and a white horse, and the war god Aries is pulling forwards with them both, but they're trying to go in 2 different directions. So the Chariot is about reaching a level of self-mastery. And this is on the level of the soul, where you've reached a level of awareness within yourself, where you understand what your more primal base urges are. It's a real awareness of the ego, first of all, but it's awareness of other aspects of you as well. And that's why I think it's linked to the Queen of Swords, because you've probably begun life as quite fiery, passionate, understanding where you are in your fire element. And then whatever situations you've got going on, you've obviously had to work hard as well. So you've had to get to grips with your earth side. And then the air is where you are at the minute. You're having this kind of like a mental battle, a little bit of a battle. And I think you've had situations in life challenging you on how you're going to respond, because the lesson here has been, how do you have full awareness of everything that drives you? And sometimes you respond this way, sometimes your responses pull you that way. Different people might trigger you in different ways. And it's about bringing all of that together with the power of your mind, your consciousness, your awareness, and having that actually propel you in the direction that you choose to go in. And that's why the image shows the two horses, and they're very big, powerful horses. They're trying to go in a different direction away from each other. And the determination and the will and the control of self that the chariot has, he's able to harness the power. So it's about harnessing power. It's about understanding that you do have a lot of power and that you can be powerful, but how do you actually manage that? How do you channel that? How do you embody being a powerful person while also being calm, caring, considerate, not kind of throwing your weight around on others, not expecting to control others, things like that. We all have these little tests and challenges of our character to see how much we actually know ourselves and can master ourselves, so that we're not out of control with our behavior. And that can manifest in so many different ways. So Sagittarius, this situation is moving out. Yeah. So as with all like past influence cards, it's up to you to acknowledge that this is on its way out. And I feel like this should be a pat on the back for you, as in, you have mastered this, okay? You've mastered this. So I think what that gives you is like another layer to yourself, another dimension of you, like maturing, where you know yourself better. And you should be able to take the lesson of the chariot forward now, so that anything that you might be confronted with in life going forwards, you know now that you're not necessarily going to respond by being tapped into only one of your base instincts that's going to lead you either this way or that way. You're actually going to lead now more from the mind, bringing in your Queen of Swords, because you've reached that level, and you're going to use the energies and the power and the fire and the fury and the inspiration and everything, all of that energy, you can now harness it, control it, and use the power of it to actually push you forwards and into what you're choosing to move forwards into. So that's on its way out. And I feel it's showing up here, because you might think, oh, that happened to me ages ago. But it's showing up here to reinforce and remind you that you have this now, okay? You don't ever have to go back. You don't ever have to worry or feel that maybe lessons like this are going to come again. Once we reach the level of chariot and self-mastery, unless you make some very unwise choices, you're not really going to go back to not having mastery over self again. You kind of can't. Yeah, you can't. So this is here for me to congratulate you and to reassure you that you've really leveled up with this card, okay? You've really leveled up. And if it's still something that's going on at the moment, then I hope this gives you a bit of strength that you really are learning how to master self, how to control how you respond to everything. Because essentially, Sagittarius, that really is the only thing we can control, is how we behave, how we speak to people, how we respond, whether someone's being shitty or not. You know, you have mastery of self here. So acknowledge that, accept it as part of who you are as a growing, maturing soul, and on to the next one, yeah? What you've got coming in, oh dear. Love it, love it, love it for you. The sun. So for me, okay, I immediately feel a sense of relief because with the 3 9s here, it's like the 3, I'm getting a visual. So the 3 9s in this row is a line. It's a vertical line anyway within the reading, but I feel it's a vertical line within yourself where you're able to acknowledge what stage you're at in all these situations in your life right now. The Queen of Wands is giving you amazing presence of mind, logic, clear, cold, concise thinking. Whatever it is you need to be dealing with, deal with it, because you've got the energies of the Queen of Wands now to be able to write that letter, to be able to put in that application like a tender or court papers or whatever it is that is requiring you to have this sharp mind. You've got everything around you at the moment to do that, as well as having had your life lesson of the Chariot. You not only have a sharp mind, you have self-mastery completely. The sun coming in shows, I mean, people talk about the sun being the happiest card. It is, but on a much, much deeper level, it's you continuing to choose consciousness, awareness, being alive, being awake. Like I said before, once you've reached the level of Chariot, you're not really going to lose that level of self-mastery because you kind of can't. It's like opening up your, what is it, your 1,000-petaled lotus flower. So you've opened up one of your massive petals, which is called self-mastery. You're not going to really go back there to shut it down again, are you? And then start making poor choices that have negative consequences. So you've already chosen to increase your consciousness. You've already chosen to increase your awareness of self and maybe your compassion for self. The sun, it speaks of our deep, deep human urge towards ascension, towards real peace, bliss. This is the sun god Apollo in my usual tarot deck. And he brings kind of everything that we enjoy in life, you know, art, poetry, literature, music, all of that. He brought all of that. And it's kind of the things that make us feel alive, the things that make us feel worthy of being here, the things that make us appreciate nature. So there's something coming in for you, Sagittarius, where I feel, because you've got all these 9s right now, creating almost a visible line in your life of, right, here's where I'm at, these stages of these different aspects of my life. And I feel that's going to enable you to then close all of these cycles and actually have that line that you're able to define and determine and say, yeah, I really am crossing that line. I can look forward to brighter days now, and I can put some things behind me. I can release some burdens. I can lay some stuff down and put it to bed. And I can really, really embrace this brighter day that's on its way for me, because I'm already on the way to doing that. I've already made some really sound and wise choices that have helped me to gain mastery of self and to gain this level of logic that we do need sometimes in life. Queen of Swords, when I said at the beginning, there's a bit of a warning with the Queen of Swords that we don't lose touch with our emotions. We don't spend so much here that we lose, like we're cutting off the connection to the heart space. I don't feel you're going to do that, Sagittarius, because When we have the sun card coming up, it's about every chakra coming into alignment through our increased awareness and consciousness. So I think you're going to get major help from the universe, major kind of bursts of energy, a lot of refreshment. I don't know how you feel about winter. Obviously, you're born in the winter time. I don't know if many Sagittarians suffer with what is it, seasonal affective disorder, where we're missing the sunshine. Maybe one of those lamps would be beneficial for you over winter, or just whenever you notice the sun's out and the clouds are passing, just get out there, increase your exposure to the sun, increase the amount of time that you're spending in the sun, able to absorb all those particles of light, which are also going to increase everything that's happening for you and raise your vibration. Okay, big raising of vibrations card. So whatever it is that resonates with you in terms of doing that, whether it's sound, light, crystals, how you move your body, anything like that, Reiki, good stuff's coming in. Okay, but you've got to allow for it, and you've got to acknowledge first that this is on its way out. This is a passing life lesson that you've had, the Chariot. So take all those lessons, absorb them into who you are, and push forwards with that pushing forwards energy that the Chariot brings. Okay, but you're not stuck there. You're not stuck there. Lesson learned, good times coming in. Oh, I love this for you. What you've got happening around you at the minute on a bit of a deeper level, like where you are, you've got the Six of Wands. So back to the journey of the Wands. The Six is about like recognition, fame, validation, all the things I was saying you don't need with your Nine of Pentacles. The Sixes of Wands is it's like a kind of harmony where everything you're doing and everything you're creating and everything you're getting off the ground is just going wonderfully, and you're being recognized for it. So whatever these challenges are and this kind of tough situation that you've got at the minute, I do feel like kind of everyone can see where you are, because you're getting recognition for something, or you've got recognition due in very shortly for something. This position can often be like kind of what's around, but it hasn't quite come into the reality just yet. So maybe you're waiting on results of something. Maybe you're waiting to see if you've won an award or something like that. It's getting really dark, isn't it? There's some sort of fame and recognition coming in for you, Sagittarius. Maybe you've got some big parties for your birthday coming up. Maybe you've got a milestone birthday, and there's a lot of people going to be coming to celebrate you. That's what this card's all about, is it's time for us to celebrate you, Sagittarius. You've achieved an awful lot in your life. Maybe you're reaching retirement with these nines in a row. The Chariot, the Sun. Maybe for some of you. In your views of others, we've got a really beautiful card here, and this is showing me you actually in your element. This is Temperance, which is Sagittarius, and this is about just being so kind of harmonious within one's self, and this is usually based on the life lessons that we've had, the choices that we've made to continue being loving, to continue being a soul with a heart, and not letting the hurt of the past kind of shut that down, close it off, letting our aura just turn black. It's about keeping on. Similar with the Chariot, but this is a lot more emotional and spiritual. This is about choosing to keep loving. Water, the element of the heart, obviously it flows, and like water, love has to flow. So sometimes we are giving love out, sometimes we're receiving love. sometimes we've got to learn to love ourselves because there's nothing coming from the outside. And it's about having that kind of emotional intelligence where we understand that, you know, sometimes we get knocked down, but there's always faith in the future, and there's always more opportunities for love coming from the universe at all times. They don't have to be romantic. It can come from nature. It can come from really unexpected sources. But we're only really going to experience that if we remain open to it. So temperance is about making that conscious choice to stay open to love and to keep the love flowing within ourselves despite whatever is going on outside of ourselves. It's a really fulfilling stage to reach within oneself. So this is people's view of you at the moment, Sagittarius. Isn't that really lovely? I do wonder, though, if maybe you've got a lot of people coming to you for your wisdom, for your support, for your energy, for your love, for your comfort. If people are regarding us so highly, obviously we're then going to be very much needed by everybody around us. So I really hope you're resting, Sagittarius. I really hope you're making time for yourself. And you need to be aware of your energetic boundaries. If there's anyone who's draining you too much or maybe asking too much of you, you might need to create some healthy boundaries there that serve you and the person that you're trying to help. But this is really, really beautiful. There's another flip side to this, which is that if people are thinking so highly of you, they might think you've just got everything going perfectly, swimmingly, harmoniously for you at the moment. But where you've got these kind of challenges of the nines and the feeling worn out and the anxiety and sleepless nights, does anybody know about that? Is anybody supporting you at the moment, Sagittarius? Because if people don't know, then they don't know that you need support. They don't know that you need a rest. They don't know that maybe you need someone to be kind of venting with or saying some things too. So just look at that, okay? Because this is what people are seeing. They're seeing bliss. They're seeing an angel of peace, an angel of balance and harmony. And I'm sure you are, Sagittarius. But we're human as well, aren't we? We're real, and we do have our tough days, okay? So don't be frightened to reach out. It just may take a bit of honesty and a bit of kind of clarity that, yes, you may appear to have everything amazingly beautiful, but there's also something that you need a solution to. And that links in with your next one, actually. I've been thinking about this since the first cards came out. In your hopes and fears, you've got the Five of Swords. Now, to me, the Five of Swords isn't immediately about conflict and arguments and disagreements. There's an element to it of conflicts and disagreements because the whole journey of swords is about individuation. It's about being born into a world and society and environment and home where there's certain attitudes, beliefs, outlook on life, moral standpoint, whatever it is. And the process of becoming an individual within that and maybe having your own thoughts and your own opinions and a differing view on life, that causes a lot of challenges in life. And we all have that journey to go on of understanding that actually it is possible for different opinions and beliefs to exist at the same time. So during the journey of the swords, there is naturally some conflict and some barriers and challenges. So the Five is also about, it's kind of about getting a bit cocky. So if you imagine a teenager, okay? Sorry, teenagers. I'll use myself because I was an absolute dick for a couple of years. I don't mind admitting. Okay. 13 years old, had a bit of a chavvy period, as some of us did. So imagine there's a cocky teenager, okay, and they're kind of figuring out a few things about life. They're figuring out maybe some illusions of theirs are being shattered from childhood. And with this kind of increased awareness that you get in your teen years, because your mind is really, really opening up, and you've also got the passion of what it's like to kind of come alive as an individual, you can get this level of arrogance that teenagers have just kind of naturally, because they feel so bold. They feel so passionate about what it is they're learning, what it is they've figured out or realized or been introduced to. So the 5 it's kind of a humbling experience where we're kind of shown by life, usually other people, that the way that we see things and the way that we think things, there's more to it, okay? And also that we can't do everything. Just with your own energetic makeup, you can't do everything. You can't travel down every pathway that you want to travel down. You can't energetically pursue absolutely every idea that you have. You can't kind of be in charge of absolutely everything because you don't have 100% of the skills to enable you to do absolutely everything. Nobody does. That is the beauty of life, is that we all bring different things and together we can create harmony. So the 5 is, although it's a humbling card, it's also a liberating card because it's showing us kind of our limitations and our strengths, what our strengths of the mind are, but also what our limitations are. So for this to be in a hope and fear for you, obviously we don't hope for conflict. I don't feel that you're fearing conflict. What I feel this card is bringing to me is that you hope for kind of clarity of just having that kind of one thing for you to pursue, because that one thing for you to pursue is your 100% path. Whereas there's other things where you would be wasting your energy pursuing because they're just simply not for you. However bold you may feel and however confident you might want to feel that you're going to pursue a certain pathway, who you are as a person with an honest assessment of your strengths and weaknesses, that will show you what path is worth pursuing, because you energetically can go the whole distance with that one. So it's about life kind of humbling us in that sense, but also showing us the way. And often because of our ego being still in development, that can be a tough pill to swallow because we don't want to accept our limitations, frankly, do we? You know, especially if, like, you know, the last few decades, we're bringing our kids up to believe they can do anything they want. In a sense, they can pursue absolutely any pathway they want, but an honest look at your skills, strengths and weaknesses will tell you that actually 30% of those pathways are going to be a dead end for you because you're not cut out for that pathway. So it's about a humble acceptance of who we are. I'm just going to turn a light on because it's getting dark. Hiya, sorry about that. I hope the last few minutes wasn't too bad. So yeah, the 5 of Swords, it's a bit of an ambivalent card. It's a tough one. It is. It's a tough pill to swallow because you're having to be really honest about what suits you, about what you're good at, about what is for you, what isn't for you. And it isn't easy. But if you can have the humility to accept your limitations and your strengths and the difference between them, you can now actually charge forwards with your chariot energy, knowing exactly, you can be laser focused now because you know exactly what is worth pursuing. And what's coming in for you, I absolutely love this, because not only have you got the sun, with all the energy that the sun brings, you've also got the Fool, which is a whole new fresh start. Life is going to call you to do something. And it's linked to all of this. It's linked to all of the closures and the ends of cycles that you're reaching with all of your nines. It's connected to how you've been able to master self and your urges, your base instincts. It's about reaching that higher level of consciousness. It's about knowing who you are in a kind of technical sense, you know, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what are you bringing to the job in that way. And on a very deep level for you coming up, Sagittarius, life is going to be offering you the opportunity to start something completely fresh. The Fool is a card of real strong instinct. You might start getting itchy feet. Maybe you've been in the same job for 30 years and you're realizing actually there's something else you really, really love right now, or you'd love to give something a go. The Fool is the leap of faith. It's about taking that. It's not quite a risk. Other people might see it as a risk. They might look at you and be like, what are you doing? You know, you've had all of this set out for so long, and that's where you were going, and you want to do this now. And it's not about, so this is where your Nine of Pentacles is going to come in, this self-assuredness of who you are and how hard you've worked in your life and what you've done, that integrity. So if people are questioning you on, oh, crikey, you're going to do that? And you're going to turn around and say, yeah, I am going to do that, actually. I've got such a strong urge to do this thing. I don't quite know where it's going to lead me. I can't quite see the path and the practicalities, but I know that this urge is so strong within me that if I don't follow it, I'm always going to wander. And that's the feeling of the Fool. And, you know, sometimes we can't have our whole life planned out. We can't. It's just how it is, you know. You don't know when your soul might call out to you, but you've got to listen and you've got to differentiate. And I feel like you can do that now. You know the difference between, oh, I'm in my Queen of Swords and I'm getting all this paperwork done, and here is my soul, my instinct, my higher self prodding me and poking me and urging me and tickling the bottom of my feet to get me moving, because there's something, and I might not quite know what it is. Maybe you do know what it is, you just don't know how to get there, but you know you've got to get going. So you have to step out of your comfort zone, and you're going to feel that excitement again of like the beginning of a creative journey. But the journey of the Fool is on all levels. It's not just creation. It's not just your fire. It's you as an individual soul. What are you doing on this planet? Because we want to show you something, and it's about whether you answer that call or not. And it's a call that requires faith, because like I said, you don't know the practicalities. You don't know all of them. It's like people who go traveling, you know, like, oh, I've got 2 nights booked here and then a week of gaps. And then I've got another night somewhere, and you don't know what the plan is in those gaps, but you know, you're going to be all right, you know. And maybe the position you've got yourself to in your material life is actually going to give you a bit of financial freedom to be able to take what might appear to be a risk. You know, if this is about you doing a new job or giving up a job to start a business or something like that. You've worked so hard. You've mastered your pentacles. You don't need... It's like you've been there, done that. Yeah, you've been there, done that. and something is calling you to go higher, to level up, onto the next thing. We're allowed as many dreams as we want, okay? It's all part of you feeling alive, feeling inspired, feeling like you're here for a purpose, yeah? Love that for you, Sagittarius. Right, today I'm drawn to give you a dragon card just to top off the reading. And I do apologise, some of my oracle decks I'm still using the book for a little bit. Some it's a lot of information to take on. So I've learnt a few, but I haven't learnt them all. So I am still using the book. Do we have a message for Sagittarius today, please? Anything for our fiery friends? What do we have for... That's too many. Sagittarius, please. We've got a card for Sagittarius. Silver Dragon. Illuminates your potential with higher light. You see that all right? The Silver Dragon illuminates your potential with higher light. Access untapped resources. Look into your soul and see higher possibilities. Very nice. So for me, I feel like the silver of that is connecting to your Queen of Swords, your air, the levels of the mind that you can go to in order to find clarity, peace. I'm just going to see if there's another message for that. Silver Dragon. Okay. Your fifth dimensional soul blueprint contains the keys and codes of your gifts, talents, wisdom, and powers. Your gifts and talents, yeah? Much of this is locked away and unused. Receiving this card suggests that it is time for some of this potential to be ignited and brought forward into your life. You are ready to reveal yourself and be who you truly can be. Sit quietly and see or sense the shimmering silver dragon who has come to you. Allow it to reflect back to you the hidden aspects of your soul and your higher possibilities. This may or may not be a conscious process, but it will inspire you to express your essence and transform your life. Be ready to develop any gifts or qualities that the dragon draws to your attention. You may surprise yourself. Sagittarius, I love that for you. We all have tough times. Sometimes things are very tough, and sometimes things can feel like we can't go on. You're 999 at the minute. Maybe it is an alert for you. Maybe it is a bit of emergency crisis, but you have got everything it takes to see you through that situation. Embrace your brighter days that are coming up. And this isn't just brighter days. This is like a whole new level of life where you can't help but see the bright side of things all the time because of the level of consciousness that you've achieved. And something absolutely fresh, brand new for you to leap into and fully re-energize yourself on. All of that excitement of being on this planet is coming in for you. So I hope that resonated for you, Sagittarius. Take care. Thank you.